This is the assessment for producing retail meat cuts from a pork loin and producing trim for processed meat items. This assessment will take 30 minutes with an additional 15 minutes, and for each 5 minutes over, you are deducted 5%. We'll start the assessment with skinning of the pork loin. We'll be trying to leave as much fat on the loin as possible, so try and be close to the skin, but also in doing this, we're trying to avoid as many cuts to the loin as possible. For the removal of the sirloin, we would like it correctly separated one vertebrae after the curvature of the spine, perpendicular with the spine. We'll bring the loin over to the saw and we'll line it up with the saw blade. When we're using the bandsaw, remember to remove your chain glove and check the bandsaw to make sure that it is as safe as possible before commencing. After removing the sirloin, we'll commence with our cutting of pork chops. We'll bring our guide over to 3/4 of an inch, so 2 centimeters, and we'll cut the pork chops uniformly. While we're cutting, we're going to move our hand behind the saw blade and catch the pork chop as it comes off the saw. We will be cutting pork chops until we reach the tip of the first bone from the rib. After we've completed cutting the pork chop, we'll return them to the table where we can trim them uniformly to a 1/4 inch back fat. That's about 1/2 of a centimeter. Press down firmly with the scraper to cleanly scrape the chops and remove any bone dust and extra trimmings. Before cutting, remember to put your glove back on, and then come in with your knife, trim up your fat, and you will trim the tail of the pork chop to roughly 2 centimeters in length. The pork chops don't need to be trayed for the assessment, but when they are trayed, we want them trayed in this specific manner, with both of the bones to either side, the fat in one direction, and the tenderloins in the other direction. After we finish with the pork chops, we will commence on removing the pork back ribs from the loin. We'll start by lining up our knife behind the ribs, and we'll do our cut down at about a 45-degree angle to get that cut started. Once we've cut deep enough into the loin, you can see that the direction of the ribs start to change, and then we will square up our cut and cut the rest of the loin straight down. When you get down to the spine, push firmly so you do a cut all the way across the bones. We're going to flip over the loin, and then we will do a cut along the feather bones directly down. Once we've made those 2 long cuts to separate our loin, we just have a little bump in the middle, and once we cut through that, we should be able to separate our loin from our ribs. We'll move our ribs back to the bandsaw, and first we will remove any feather bone along the back of the ribs. Next, we'll flip over the ribs and remove the chine bone so that we remove the entirety of the spine, making it easy to separate the ribs with a knife cut. We'll bring back the ribs to the table, where the final step will be removing the membrane from the ribs. For the end of the assessment, we want to make sure that our trimmings are free of heavy connective tissue with a fat to lean ratio of not more than 30% fat, consisting of cuts not suitable for other purposes.